You broke a national record in the 50 free. You scared it in the 100 free. You're
Mhm.
not far off of Gretchen Walsh's overall high school records. That you've got 2 seasons left to break them. Uh, uh, how on your radar were these things going into the season? Welcome to Social Kick. I'm Brian Lundquist. We got the Parcel crew. Luke's in Trinidad, but we got Dr. John Mullen and joining us from Florida, high school phenom Rylee Erisman. What's going on, Rylee? How are you?
Hi guys, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, we're excited to get to chat with you, and we want to start it off on a bit of a lighter note and ask if this one's from an audience question on at Social Kick Swim on Instagram. Cecilia Russell said, if you could only listen to one song before every race, what would that song be?
Ooh, probably Live Your Life by Rihanna or Super Bass by Nicki Minaj.
Okay, two
Those are
good
probably my
picks.
top two. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Let's. What
I'm
about
amazed I
one?
know those songs. I thought it was for sure going to be something I definitely wouldn't have known.
I have
Have
to
you heard
admit,
of this new Brian? You should do this. All right. So there was this thing I saw on Reddit, and it's you want to know your real age. You take 70 and you subtract all the artists you recognize that are playing at the music festival Coachella. I think I'm 52, so I'm not doing so well on that challenge.
Yeah.
okay.
I'm definitely more of like a 2000s, 2010 like pop music person. So,
Where does that come from? Is that a parent's influence?
no, my parents are a lot of like 80s and 90s. I don't know. I think I kind of just inherited on my own.
80s. I never got into the 80s music, but yeah, 90s and 2000s is my jam. Like if I go to trivia and there's like a guess this song or name this artist or something like that, I think like 90s and 2000s is my sweet spot.
Yeah.
And then when it gets
Yeah.
into the 2010s, I'm like, I
Yeah.
know the song, like I recognize
Yeah.
it, but I can't tell you who the artist is.
Yeah,
So
I can never name artists. I'll like know the song, but I'm like artists, I don't know. So
here's one. If you have you ever gone to trivia or played one?
yeah, I've played a few times. I'm not very good though.
I was gonna say, what category do you think, like, if you were to script it, or if it's like you're on Jeopardy and you're like, I'm gonna clean house on that category. What's a category that you would pick that you know the most about?
Age group swimming records. Come on, Brian.
Sprint
Probably,
freestyle for 15-year-olds.
yeah, yeah, probably that. Honestly,
Oh my goodness. Okay, what's one piece of swimming equipment you can't live without?
definitely my kickboard. I bring my kickboard everywhere. I can't live without it. I use it almost every day in practice. So definitely my kickboard.
I'm embarrassed to say too. I swam this morning and I did not use my kickboard at all, but uh, I didn't have time for a social kick today. I'm sorry. I couldn't do it. Although, can I digress for a second and say one thing that really grinds my gears is when I get to a pool and the lane ropes aren't tightened, and like all of them are
Yes.
not tightened.
Yeah,
And it,
we at my pool we will like bug our lifeguards about like tightening the lane lines. Like if they're not tight enough, we'll like make them come over and like tighten them because it's so bad with the
it's
wave.
so bad. It's
Yeah.
terrible. Yeah. I can't stand it. Would you rather swim like the hardest practice of the year with loose lane ropes, or be in a pool that's 70 degrees for that hard workout?
God. Well, I am not a cold person. It's cold.
Yeah,
It's
Florida.
like yeah, it's like 40. It was like 48 this morning and I was like freezing at practice. So I'd probably rather do a hard set without lane lines or like without loose lane lines. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
This reminds me, have you ever been up to that multi-distance pool in Ocala? I think it's in Ocala. We used to
Yes, the
stop
fast
there.
pool. Yeah.
Yeah, it had like it's 33, like the pool's 50 meters long by one section is 25 yards, one section is 33, and then like
Mhm.
another section is a little bit narrower than that, I think. Do you know what it
Yeah.
is?
I don't know, but they have like a bunch of different size pools, I know. And then that
Yeah.
was where my states was. So
Okay.
I go to that pool a lot, actually. Yeah. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
We used
Yeah.
to, so when I was at Auburn, we used to go down to, East Coast of Florida for training trips all the time. And we would always stop there on the way down. It was like,
Hmm.
there's going to be some hard workout that takes place at this multi-distance pool, but there's something about like swimming in 33 yards or whatever it is, that like off distance,
Yeah.
that like, it's almost like a nice break from doing a hard workout because
Yeah,
you don't
because it's
really
different.
like you
Yeah.
can't relate to the times, you know. Actually,
Yeah.
I was curious about this with all the World Cups and everything going on, and because when I was swimming in high school, it was totally off my radar. Do you know anything about short course meters swimming?
Not that much, honestly. I've swam there at my pool. We have a dive well and it's short course meters,
Hmm.
but like I don't know anything about times or like anything that much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird to relate to it. And growing up in a yards system, you know, and then some long course, it's just
Yeah.
like a foreign concept to me. And I've
Yeah,
only
same.
raced it like a few times, but
Hmm.
yeah. So, all right. What about this? You get to keep 3 apps on your phone. You only get 3, all the rest get deleted. Which 3 apps are you keeping?
The camera app, Instagram, and probably messages.
Mmm.
Camera. That's a
Okay.
good one. Not many
Yeah.
people say camera, but that is a nice one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can
I
you
love.
access camera without the app though? Can't you do that? Isn't that the cheat around it?
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, true. Yeah, because you can like access it on Instagram and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
All right. So you only need 2, Instagram and messages. That's all she wants. All right. What about this one? What's the most annoying thing that a teammate can do?
Swim in the middle of the lane. I can sometimes do that, like when I'm in the middle of a set and I'm like focused and like kind of in the zone. But like, there's some people on my team and they do it a lot, and I'm like, ugh, like it annoys me a lot. So, yeah,
Get over.
yeah.
All right. And then last one of these intro ones. If you were entered in every event at a meet, but you could scratch one of them, which event are you scratching?
Mm, Probably the 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I had to do the 4 a.m. this past weekend at a meet, and I'm pretty good at it, but it takes it out of me, and it's definitely very tiring. So.
So just to be clear, you're taking the 1650 or the 1500 long course over the 4 a.m.
Yes, I don't mind like swimming like distance freestyle. Like I'll do it. Like I do open water, so I actually enjoy it. So I'd rather do that than before I am.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. All right. I hear you. I don't know if I agree with you, but to each their own. Riley, what are you up to?
It's been a crazy past like year or like crazy past like half year, honestly. After states, I was kind of just still getting back into training, and I'm getting ready for Winter Juniors in like 2 weeks. So I'm super excited about that. But yeah, states was super fun, and definitely had a great time with my team.
You had in the build through this season, you
Mhm.
had Olympic trials, junior Pan Packs, and then went into high school season. Did you take a break?
Yeah, after Junior Pan Pacs, I took like a 3 week break. I went to Italy, actually to watch my brother in open water junior worlds. So that was
Ah,
super cool. So yeah, I definitely took a long break after Junior Pan Pacs, and it took me a little bit to get back into things. But yeah, I was back into it for states, and I took a few days off after states, and now I'm back into it.
arguable. I'm not sure it really took you that long to get back into it.
Yeah. Took me 3 days to get back, and then I was popping 47s again.
No, yeah, it definitely after Pan Pacs, it took me a little bit, definitely, just with like motivation and how my body was feeling. The summer was pretty like grueling with like just meets and stuff.
Yeah.
Trials was really long, so it definitely took me a while after Pan Pacs, but I finally like got back into it. So.
Another thing Brian and I were talking about beforehand was just having the fall high school swim season, and for those that don't know, in the states, in the United States, every state has their own high school state championships, and in most states
Mhm.
that's like the whatever biggest meet of the year. But every state has a different season, or there's a lot you can have different seasons. Like Riley in Florida, it's in the fall. Where I'm at in
Mhm.
Ohio, it's a winter sport. In California, it's a spring sport. I think Brian's was also a winter sport as well. So it just varies so much on the different state. Do you like having it so early on? And are you even tapered or feel like you're in shape to be ready for a championship meet that early?
Yeah, so I think I like having it early personally, just trying to like get it out of the way and focus more towards getting towards the winter, focusing more on things like the US Open or Winter Juniors. So I think it's nice to get it over with. But I definitely wasn't tapered for states, honestly, just because I didn't feel the need to. Like, I didn't want to taper and then have to go back up and then back down for juniors. So that was
do we need to
something
pause on that for a second? Not tapered, breaking the national high school record. What do you think of that, Brian?
I mean, it's pretty okay, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's all right. That's what I was thinking. All the Florida, because I've worked with a good amount of Florida athletes, and they're like, yeah, I think Arizona too, it's in the fall. And it's like, yeah, you go up and you do a couple day rest, but it's so early in the season. I mean, you just don't have that base underneath you.
Yeah, you got to definitely, I think it's hard. It can be hard sometimes to like taper for that meet, but a lot of people still do taper. But personally, I'm not the biggest taper. Like, I do better when I don't taper. Like, I'll take like a day rest, and I do best when I do that. So.
Yeah, you took the question out of my mouth. I think it's like it's so individual what the taper needs are, and by athlete, and there's a lot of women actually that I think can really have a lot of success without training or without tapering too much. How does that weave in with your training? Can we talk a little bit about that? I'm curious to find out more about like what training looks like for you so that you can be out of the water for a bit, come back, take a couple days, and then, and next thing a couple months later, you're swimming best times. I mean, you're definitely at a point in your life where, at 15, every season you're kind of still hitting best times. Like that's pretty normal, I think, for anyone who's on that kind of like improvement trajectory. You're going to practice every day, you're training hard, and you're likely to see a lot of those consistent gains. Whereas maybe later in life it's not necessarily that way. But I'm curious, like, yeah, how does the training, like, what are you working on a daily basis that can lead to showing up at a meet and going best times without necessarily a taper? Like, I'm curious if you could just kind of walk us through like the training structure a bit.
Yeah, so my train, we definitely train more aerobically based. I definitely don't train like a normal sprinter. I definitely do more distance sets than I'd probably do sprint sets. But I think for me it works because I have such a good aerobic base that I can just kind of, when I need to sprint, because I still do sprint sets sometimes, but I can just kind of kick it into gear, and the aerobic base really helps me and just keeps me going for a long time.
Well, there you go, B. That's why she wants to do the mile. And Rylee, when you say, aerobic sets and aerobic base, I guess give us an example of a couple of those sets, because some of the old school people listening will be like, oh, aerobic sets, that's like, 10 miles, freestyle at like 2-minute pace. But I'm assuming that's not what you mean as far as aerobic pace.
So one of the sets I've done is a 1500, and you negative split it 80 to 90% on a 125 base, and then 15 ones on 125. 1 to 2 are just make, 3 is negative split, and then 4 and 5 are max. And then you go an 800 negative split 85 to 95 on a 120 base, and then 8 100s. 1 is make, 2 is negative split, 3 and 4 are max, and then you go 400 all out, and then 4 ones all out. So that's one of the sets that I do.
Whoa, yeah, you can be in the distance group with that.
Yeah, it's more than what I thought. Jeez.
Yeah, spoken like a pure sprinter.
A lot of people are surprised, but I really like train a lot of distance, and I don't know.
I think it's a good time to show off the t-shirt today. It says, I'd rather be sprinting.
Yeah. I definitely prefer sprint sets over distance sets, but whatever works.
So obviously you do a lot of freestyle, but at age 15, a lot of people are still trying to figure out, okay, am I specializing? Am I doing every event still? You have a great 100 backstroke, great at other events. Are you doing a lot of other strokes in your practices, or are you starting to specialize a little more?
Yeah, definitely. I still do a lot of stroke, a lot of IM, and definitely a lot of backstroke. And honestly, just varies in the time of the year. When I get closer to meets, I'll try to focus more on my prime strokes like freestyle and backstroke. But during like the middle of the year when I don't have much going on, I'll definitely train a lot more IM and do some off events like the 2 IM, the 4 IM. So.
And with your training, I guess, when does it change throughout the season? Like you said, it might vary a little bit. Is it just like, okay, we're getting closer to taper seasons now, I'm going to start doing more freestyle and backstroke since that's what I'm going to be setting up at like a taper meet or a little more of a rest meet?
Yeah, I would say a month out from a big meet, I'll start incorporating more sprinty stuff in my training, and definitely a lot more freestyle. But I still like to keep my yardage up and do a lot of aerobicness every day.
You broke a national record in the 50 free. You scared it in the 100 free.
Mhm.
You're not far off of Gretchen Walsh's overall high school records. That you've got 2 seasons left to break them. Uh, how on your radar were these things going into the season? Can you talk about kind of your approach to goal setting? Were you happy with the outcome? Did it leave you with a little taste of, oh, I came in wanting the 102, or yeah, where was your mind with all of these, like the records and goal setting?
So for me, with records and stuff, I try not to like look at the times. I like to just whatever happens, happens sort of thing. So like going into states, I didn't know what the records were. I knew obviously that they were super fast, but definitely didn't have that big of an idea of what they were. I try to just, keep them aside and worry about myself and do what I can. But after states, I think it definitely made me like hungry for more. And I definitely want to try to take down those records, but it's not something I have it in the back of my mind every day, but it's not something that I'm like focusing on, and that's just what I'm doing. I'm definitely like focused on some other things.
So how did you find out that you broke the national record?
My this is funny. So I swam and I didn't really know. I didn't know. I had maybe an idea because I looked at it a few weeks before, just like kind of get an idea, but I didn't remember. So I thought like maybe I got it, but I didn't really know. And my mom actually like texted me. She was like, "You got the national age group record," and I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "That's great," but yeah.
That was it? Just okay.
Yeah, I was like, it was definitely a little bit of surprise. I didn't really know. But yeah, it was super exciting.
That's pretty great. I remember when I was in high school and I broke the Georgia State record in the 100 freestyle, and I did it leading off the relay. And I remember going, huh, I think that's the state record. But I had a similar thing where I was like,
Yeah,
no, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was.
yeah.
But I actually had this motivating moment where I said that out loud because I was leading off a prelim relay. And I said to my teammates, I was like, hey, I think that's the state record. And then a guy who I ended up swimming with in college was on a different high school team. And he was in the relay in the next heat. And he was going to lead off their relay. And he was better at freestyle than me at the time. And he goes, not for long.
Oh.
And I won't name names, but every chance that I had to beat him in college, you better believe that I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So did he break it
yeah.
in the next heat? Did he get you?
Oh, he totally beat it in the next heat. He totally beat it in the next heat. And he was a better freastaler than I was for sure. But the tables turned a few years later. So
There you go.
Yeah.
that was quite enjoyable. Have you ever talked trash in swimming?
Hey everybody, quick pause to say thank you for watching and listening to Social Kick. If you like this episode, give it a like. And if you like what we're all about, consider giving us a follow or subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, @SocialKickSwim. You know what to do. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we'll keep telling all the stories about swimming. Cheers.
No. No. No, I definitely not. I don't know. I don't know. I don't see a point really. Like, I don't know. Maybe to like, sometimes me and my brother get pretty competitive with it. Like during practice, we'll like go at it sometimes, but I mean, like for the most part, no.
Yeah, I feel like you certainly could though if you wanted to. I'm curious, do you have any boys on your team that can beat you in a 50 free?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we have. Yeah, we probably have like 3, 2, probably like 3 or 4. Honestly, yeah, that can probably definitely.
Okay. All right. What's the most annoying thing that your brother can do?
Oh God. There's honestly not many. I don't know. Probably just he can sometimes talk some stuff and say some stuff that's pretty, I don't know, he'll just get smart with it sometimes, but there's not many things that like makes me like mad and annoys me that much.
That's good. To be even keel like that is a good thing. What's what do you think you're gonna miss about having him around? So he's going to Cal next year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How's your life gonna change not having him to share swimming with around on a daily basis?
Well, I'll be an only child in the house, but so I won't
What a
have him.
smile.
No, I'm sad, but I won't have him to like talk to. He's just great to, if I ever need to talk to him about anything, he's also great to look up to, and I'll still be able to look up to him when he's at Cal. I'm super excited for him and to see what he does, but overall, I think I'll just miss him in practice. He's super great in practice. He's super uplifting and funny and positive most of the time. So I think I'll just miss him having him around overall.
I wanted to go back to the summer and talk a little bit about Olympic trials, just because you had a great trials. Obviously, didn't make the team, which was I'm sure a little bit of a letdown. But hey, that was your first time there. I'm sure it was a lot of new experiences and all that. So talk us through some of your takeaways on your performances and just that environment in general.
Yeah, so trials was great. The atmosphere, obviously, and the energy was something that was awesome, and I'll never forget it. Some takeaways I have are probably, it was a long meet, and I swam a lot of events, and so I think something that I learned was if I don't have a good race, like I just need to learn to move on, and because I have a lot more. Like I remember I swam the 2 back and it wasn't so great, but I had semis coming up for 100 free. So I was like, I need to forget it and just focus on 100 free and see what I can do there. So definitely just like focusing on what I have in the future, not like holding on to what was in the past, and just having fun with it, honestly, not trying to stress myself out too much about making the team, because I was 15. I'm 15, so I wasn't trying to stress myself out. But yeah, it was super fun.
Did you have some expectations about that? Was there anybody kind of in your circle talking to you about like planting seeds in, hey, you could make the Olympic team, or something like that? Or was your whole circle kind of even keel?
Yeah, so my circle, we were all trying to stay like pretty calm about it and not bring it up too much, because I feel like when you bring something up a lot, it gets like you get overstressed and like can only think about that and you won't perform your best. But definitely like brought it up a few times, maybe, that I would definitely have a good shot at it, but nothing's like guaranteed. But I'm super happy of how I performed at trials. So
yeah, no, you were great at trials. I'm curious about this, like, whenever I had a big meet, I kind of like, my family kept their distance. And they kind of knew to do that.
Yeah.
Most of that started in college, I think, more so because the team was kind of separate and isolated. But there were even meets in high school, like some of my best meets in high school. It was a team trip. We were doing the thing as a team. Parents like may or may not be invited or weren't necessarily there. And it was like, hey, you'll hear from me when you hear from me. Okay. Like I'm focused on me and swimming, and and so that's kind of like, there was sort of this trained background of stay out of my space,
Yeah.
Not in a mean way, just like I'm doing my thing, I don't need you asking questions about, hey, how do you feel? Is it because everybody's a little bit too on edge about it? So I don't know. Were there? It sounds like there were maybe some conversations that took place beforehand that led to this, like, hey, we're not going to talk too much about it, or did that just kind of happen naturally, or was that like a conscious conversation, like a few months like out of the summer?
It definitely happened, like, I would say a mix of both, like naturally, and like I had some conversations about it. Like me and my brother, we kind of like came to a conclusion that we both would do better when we're not just always talking about that and trials leading up to it, So we definitely did that, but I would say it was definitely like natural. Like all the people that were supporting me, they definitely understood like what I was going through and were able to, like not stressed me out even more. So that was super great.
What was the 50 free final like? The 100 free just missed out. I think it was 10th overall. But hopping in the top 8 of that 50 free, walking out to that crowd. Tell us more just about your feelings and what you remember from that.
Yeah, I was super excited. I was surprisingly not nervous at all, which was a surprise because normally I'm a person who gets pretty nervous, but I was just super excited. I didn't care about the outcome really. I just was super excited to be in a final at trials at 15 years old. It was super cool. I was in lane 1, so I was the first person to walk out, and that was super cool. The crowd was super loud, and yeah, it was super fun.
Do you remember what you did walking out?
I think I did a little wave. I did a little wave, and I always have my water with me, so I like drank some water and stuff. So yeah.
Was that planned, like the wave, or you're like just?
I don't know. I was kind of just like, hey, like, yeah, I don't know.
I have to share that we have that in common. I also swam in the finals of the 50 free at Olympic trials and swam in the outside lane. I was in lane 8, but it was such a cool feeling to swim like on a stage and be swimming free too. To have like no, it's okay. I can just swim free. There's no like, oh, I need to win this race or swim tight or like compete.
Yeah.
I mean, it is competition, but yeah, it's a special moment. Very cool.
Definitely
Fun memory. And then I want to know about like what transpired from there to then junior pan packs, because then you had a really good meet there and swam even faster, especially in the 100. And so like, can you just talk us through like the post trials then to junior pan packs and kind of your experience with that meet?
Yeah, so post trials, took a little mental and physical break, just not trying to burn myself out. Getting ready for pan packs, I did pretty much the same leading up to trials. I actually went out to the OTC before pan packs and trained there for about a week, so that was super fun. But I think pan packs, it was just super great. It was my first time representing Team USA. So I think that definitely had something to do with it. Having the American flag on my cap was definitely super motivating.
That's cool.
But yeah.
What was the piece of equipment that you got where you're like, oh yes, I finally got this with your USA swimming gear?
Probably either my black cap, or we got our tech suits. We got like the American tech suits that the Olympians got for the Olympics. So that was super cool.
That's so cool. What about gear trading? What did you trade for?
I didn't trade my gear. Like I kept all my gear. I traded pins. I definitely got a lot of pins. But for me, I didn't trade any gear. There wasn't any gear from like any other countries that I was like, oh, I need to have that. But I think I traded a few caps, some of my white caps. But yeah.
Yeah, not the black ones, just the white ones.
Yeah.
That's what I always feel like that was the thing where you go through all the gear and you're like, okay, I'm definitely not letting that go, but this can go.
Yeah.
And that doesn't fit right, and that t-shirt graphic sucks. So
yeah, all of our gear was super cool. Our t-shirt like graphics were like really cool. They had like a bunch of the Australia like symbols on them and stuff, so they were super cool. So I like wanted to keep all of it.
Is there anybody that you met at that meet who wasn't a friend before, but now you're in touch with all the time?
On Team USA or like from other countries?
Even others. Like I think that's just such a cool thing about those international meets is you get to connect with people that you otherwise either wouldn't be on a team with, or if it's Team USA, or like wouldn't get to race against normally. So yeah, either one.
So from another country, I would maybe say some of the Canadian girls, and then also some of the Australian girls. During like relays and stuff, we would all like talk and stuff before in the ready room and stuff. So that was super cool. A person that I met that I didn't know before was Mila. We raced in the 100 free and 50 free. And so she was super great to race. She's super nice. And yeah, she's super nice. So yeah. And then on Team USA, A person that I didn't know before going into it was Audrey Darrow. But like halfway through, we like became really close, and now we talk like almost every day. So
And Brian was saying that 100 free at Pan Pacs, he went even faster. And I guess, did you know at trials, okay, I've got a little more in me, or did that swim surprise you even more?
At trials, I thought maybe I have a little bit more in me, when it's not towards the end of a meet, sort of, and I'm not drained and I'm not tired, but I think at Pan Pacs, having Mill at a race was super helpful. We really pushed each other. She likes to come back the last 15 meters, and I'm more of a person who goes out faster. So having her those last 15 meters was really helpful.
I just can't get over this like dichotomy of you being doing some distance style, like not super sprint focused training, and yet talking about like going out fast and having early speed and not necessarily closing the last 15, the way that somebody else does. It's like, it's an interesting skill set that it sounds like, you have, but if the training's kind of merging your natural ability with, training some of the back end stuff, you kind of end up in a sweet spot, because it sounds like you've got natural speed.
Yeah. I definitely have a good feel for the water. I learned to like swim at a very young age, so I was always in the water swimming. So I feel like I have a really good feel for the water. So yeah.
How young? What's your first memory of being in the water?
I know I was either 1 or a little bit younger than 1 when I like started, like, not competitively swimming, obviously, but I was like in the water and I could swim and like get myself to a wall. But I grew up on the beach, so I was always in the ocean, always in the water. So I grew up on the beach for the first like 9 years of my life, probably. So I was just always, in the water, and I love the water. So.
Wow. 1. You actually remember that at 1?
I don't remember it, but I know like my parents will like tell me all the time. They're like, you learned how to swim super young. So.
No, they'll tell you. Okay. What about your parents' aquatic life?
They did not have one. My mom she's a runner, and my dad played tennis. So, the swimming part, I'm pretty sure my great grandpa was like a swimmer. And he was actually pretty good. So I think that's kind of where maybe it came from. But no, my parents did not swim.
Have you ever seen your parents swim laps in a pool?
No, I've seen maybe like my dad like try and like swim with his like head above the water, but no.
Come on, got to be a family relay, right?
Yeah.
John, did you ever see your parents swim laps in a pool?
No, not at all. We did do this family relay. The reason I brought that up at like summer league, and I'm pretty sure my mom did it on like an inner tube with like both her hands going next to her side, but certainly never laps.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing. No, I don't. I do think there was a time that I've seen like wading across the pool, but I just think it's kind of interesting. Or like, parents can do whatever their interests are, and then your kid gets into a sport, and then they find success in the sport, and it's like, for some people, there's an elite athletics background from your parents that kind of like is just an extension of that lineage of, okay, great, my parents are swimmers, she's gonna be a great swimmer, or maybe like one was a basketball player and one was a swimmer, but to have parents that like didn't come from that background. I was the same. Like my dad played some tennis, my mom played some. Neither were like competitive athletes growing up. Neither knew much about times or anything like that throughout my swimming career. So and yet I think that leads to some of the the interest in the kind of like, what are we talking about the meet and everything in the lead up to the meet, 'cause like maybe they didn't even come from that background. So
Yeah.
Did your parents come out to Junior Pan Pacs, by the way?
Yeah, they were there. Yeah, they were there. Yeah.
Man, That's got to be so much fun to be a parent and like watching
Yeah.
the meets and traveling for that. Now you've got
Yeah.
like forever people traveling to all your international meets too.
Yeah, they love coming out to different countries and watching us. So yeah.
Yeah, they had a whirlwind with your brother too. And
Yeah.
talking about your brother, I would imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, that him getting started probably sparked your interest or growth in the sport as well.
Yeah, last year he made World Juniors in Israel, and that was super exciting. It was super inspiring for me because he came back with like so many fun stories and like told me how fun it was and how he can't wait to hopefully go again. And so I realized, I was like, wow, that's like something I want to do one day. So that was super motivating.
Yeah, my wife was a team manager on that Israel trip, so I heard some pretty good stories from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's one country
go,
that
Bjorn.
you could go to swim a race, is there anywhere on your list?
I already know. Antarctica. She mentioned it. She loves the cold.
Definitely not. I don't know. Maybe that's a hard question. There's nothing that I'm like, oh, I would love to swim there, but
Yeah, that is a hard one,
Right.
Brian.
I think we need to connect you with Keaton Jones and get you into the ice swimming world
Yeah.
championships. And your brother's going to be his teammate coming up soon, and he's already recruiting his teammates to come and compete in ice swimming. So it's going to be a thing. If you can swim morning practice in 48 and you're doing just fine, then how about minus 48?
yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What do you think is the coldest swimming practice you've ever been to?
Once my pool was like 69 degrees, and
Oof.
yeah, I actually like we actually had to like get out. I was probably 11 or 12, so I was tiny. So I didn't have like much muscle fat on me. So I was like dove in and I was like, this is not going to work. Like I need to get out. So I had to get out and like bundle up, but probably that practice. We've definitely had a few where it's like, okay, this is really cold, but yeah.
How long do you? What's like the team environment like for you? Because I'm thinking back to like college environments, and even for my club team, if everybody else is in the water, then you're in there suffering with them too. So at what point do you go, okay, I just can't?
Yeah. Well, actually, so my coach was like, I like wanted to kind of stay in and like try to rough it out, but my coach he like felt my arm and I was like purple. Like he was like, yeah, you're too cold. You need to get out. But yeah, as our team, it's definitely super fun. When we're all doing a hard set, we kind of just come together and kind of laugh about it because sometimes they're just really out there. But yeah.
We touched a little on the training earlier, but I guess how many practices a week are you doing? Are you doing morning practices? Are you doing dry land or strength training? Talk us a little bit about just the week to week.
So Mondays and Fridays I have doubles, so morning and afternoon, and then Wednesday I have morning, and then Saturday I have morning, obviously. But then all the other days it's just singles and afternoons. But I don't do a lot of strength training actually, so I don't lift very many weights. Mondays and Fridays, sometimes in the mornings, we'll do some just like squats with like body weight or pull-ups or push-ups, burpees, stuff like that. But I've never really done like real like strength training, you could say. So
Yeah.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
Okay. How tall are your parents?
My dad's 6'8" and my mom's 6 foot. So I have a very tall family. And my brother is like 6'4". So
I bet your dad had a hell of a serve at 6'8".
yeah. Yeah, he played tennis in college. So yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, geez, that's dominant. Go ahead, John.
And in the pool, I guess. So what other things are you working on technically? I remember watching you at trials, and you said like super high stroke weight, right? From what I remember. I guess what other technical things are you working on in the pool?
Some things I'm working on right now are definitely like when I'm breathing, like only turning half my head, trying to keep my head still and focusing on my stroke when I'm entering and my pull and stuff like that. So just little things that can help me in the long run. So
what would you say you do really well?
I would say in my opinion, I have a really good kick. I'm a really good kicker because I have really long legs. So I would say my kick is really good. So.
What's an example? So you said the kickboard is your go-to piece of equipment. What's an example of like a kick set where you're showcasing this strength?
Yeah, beating all the guys in your group.
So a set that I've done, we'll go like 2100s, like I'll kick however you want, and most of them will be all max. We'll have like maybe a few recovery in there, but I definitely have a lot of endurance in my legs, so I'm definitely a very strong kicker, and it definitely helps me a lot in the water.
What can you go in a 100 kick, short or long course?
Short course, I think I can go like 106, 105 on like short course on a good day. Long
Open
course, flip turns.
Flip turns. Do you get a stroke into the wall or no?
One stroke
Okay.
into the wall.
All right.
And then long course, I haven't done much long course lately, so kicking long course,
Yeah.
maybe like 110, 113, somewhere in there, somewhere in that range.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry,
So,
go ahead, John.
yeah, I was gonna say on the other end, obviously, our pull sets. How are you on pull sets?
On what?
Pulling sets.
Oh, pull. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a pretty decent puller. I've also been told I have like a unique pull. It's like different. I don't know. I've been told that's like pretty different from other pulls. So I'm definitely a pretty good puller too.
Yeah, is that a compliment when people tell you that? They're like, "Man, what's that pull?"
Sometimes people are like, how do you go that fast with that pole? But I'm like, I don't know. It just,
Thank you.
They're like, how do you swim that fast? And I'm like, I don't know. It works like that. I don't know. Whatever works.
That's like the opposite. Like, you make it look really difficult. How do you?
Yeah. They're like, does it feel hard? I'm like, no.
You're like, scoreboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, listen,
Yeah.
if you go 21.6, come at me. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a funny thing with technique because I feel like every person has their own sort of, technique is very individual. And I think those who don't have the trained eye can, like, I bet you could stand on the pool deck and watch a bunch of your teammates swim, and without like being too close to the water, you can tell who they are without seeing their face. Because you could just tell like how they're swimming, what their stroke looks like. It's so individual, and yet they just kind of like come out of nowhere. It's like a signature of sorts. Are there any like stroke hitches or things that you constantly get reminders on? I mean, it sounds like people notice your pull, but is there something technically that your coach is saying like, yeah, it'd probably be better if you like update it,
Yeah.
We're trying to
definitely
hone it in.
Yeah, definitely my like head movement and how I turn my head. I used to, and I still sometimes do. I would look back really far and look up really far. And my head would like move like a lot. My coach would call me a bobblehead sometimes because it would just like move. So like definitely like I'm learning how to like control it more and control my breaths more and not look like I'm like whipping my head all around.
Yeah. What are you doing to work on that?
I've been doing a lot of paddle head drill. So you like put a paddle on your head, and we'll do like a bunch of 50s, just paddle head drill and just working on it. So yeah.
Okay, so you're doing 50s with the paddle, just resting there on your head, trying to keep your head in a direct line, and you're also breathing while you're doing it. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so you have to keep the paddle on while you're breathing. So yeah, it definitely helps a lot.
I mean, it seems like there's different camps, right? Some that's like, all right, let's hit some drills and figure out these technical things. Others, it's just like, hey, let's slow it down, have you do a little more slower swimming, and the coach is, letting you know if things are going correct. But it sounds like doing more drill work, and then hopefully that transfers into faster swimming with that correct technique.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
How much video are you guys using?
So one of my coaches during meets, he has an iPad and he'll like video our swims, and we'll go back rewatch them, and he'll give us like tips on like what to fix, because when you're swimming you don't really know how you look, but you can get an idea of what you look like. But when you like see yourself, you're like, wow, like that's completely different of what I thought. Right. So like having that, so during meets it's probably a lot more than like during practice. Like if something's during practice and like we like can't get it right and don't know what they're talking about, maybe they'll do a video to like show us what they're talking about, so it makes more sense.
Yeah, but I always laugh at people who film with iPads.
Yeah.
Especially if there's like a case or something, because it's just
yes.
so obnoxious looking.
It's so... sometimes it can be a little bit embarrassing, because it's literally like, it's like humongous. Like it's like almost the size of my laptop. Yes, it's humongous, but I mean, it works. So
it does work, but go ahead, John.
Yeah. Are there any current or former swimmers that you look up to and you're like, trying to model your technique or the coaches are showing you videos of and be like, this is the breathing we're looking for, or this is what we're looking to accomplish?
Not anyone like specifically, but
okay.
If someone has like a really good, like say like when they breathe, their breath is really good. Like my coaches will point it out to me and be like, that's something that you could maybe try to emulate or mock and stuff. So.
Have you ever done like I'm curious about like innovation in swimming equipment now, because it's taken me back to, John, you saying that, and thinking about like specific people. There was that company that did the virtual reality swimming goggles, and I remember, and we were sitting there on the deck watching footage of Matt Biondi, who was a swimmer who was like swam 20 years before I did, and so it was like super old, like not somebody current, which is probably like with some intention, because it's like, well, you don't want to like necessarily watch like, I don't know, it could have been watching Eamon Sullivan. He had like really textbook freestyle, and he was from my era. But like Rylee, you would just sit there and watch virtual reality of like first person view of freestyle technique, but you were just like laying there visualizing it. And then we got in the water and had blacked out goggles on, and the whole idea was just swim perfect freestyle the way that you had just been visualizing somebody else watching them do it. And it was super cool, because like what would happen is, I don't think they were filming us with an iPad, maybe they were, but somebody was filming my stroke while I was swimming, both before and after doing the virtual reality thing, and I saw a huge difference, both like in seeing the change that I needed to make, visualizing how somebody who's really good at it does it, and then go and do that thing. So I don't know. I'm just curious, like, especially in your experience, traveling with Team USA, did you learn anything? Were there any new sort of like insights that you gathered from like the performance team and everything that you've taken back to your training?
The performance team was super helpful. They would video our races, and then they would go back and they would collect all the data from our races, and then they would send it out to us. So we got to see like how many strokes we did, like in each 50, underwaters, like super detailed stuff that like you wouldn't even like think of. So that was super helpful. Being able to know my stroke count, especially in 100, was super helpful. Keeping it long, but not too long, and not keeping it short and super like rushy. So that was super helpful.
Did they ever go, how are you so fast with this weird pull?
They actually, they made me do like 100, because in Australia they had a pool, the warm down pool. It had windows under it, so you could go under and like video your like stroke. So they made me do like 100, like just normal swimming, just to, like video my pull, and like they just wanted, because they were like curious. They're like, how does she like she's a very interesting pole. So yeah.
Have you used any of like the hand force systems like EO Sport or things like that with your time at the OTC?
No, I have not.
Yeah. Brian, have you heard of that?
No.
Yeah, it's like what I think Dr. Ono out of Virginia. I don't know if he
Yeah.
helped make it or what, but is involved. But yeah, you have like a little hand force on your hand here, or like a little dot that you wear, and it tracks how much hand force you're putting in. I assume what direction it's going into as well. So I think that's one of the bigger innovations that's actually seems somewhat applicable to use. There's been hand force stuff in swimming for like 10 years, but then you're tethered next to a cart. Someone's pushing a cart next to you, kind of like VO2 max in the pool, and it's very obstructive. And it takes 2 hours to set up, or it's like, okay, this isn't really usable on the day-to-day basis.
Oh, I would have loved that. Yeah. I would have loved that because from like a stroke opportunity standpoint, I knew that I was not always holding as much water with my right arm. And I knew there was a spot where I would lose some of the water, but it was a really hard thing to correct. It was like, and it happened more in a 100 freestyle stroke versus a 50 stroke too. So like, that's why I ended up having more success in 50s, because I could just like hold it together more. But when it came to 100, there's something about that like incorporating the breath was just a little bit more challenging. Where do you see, Rylee, your career heading? So like, you're having a lot of success in the shorter events while still competing in a wider range of events. How do you identify? Do you identify as a sprinter? Do you identify as just a swimmer? And do you want to continue to swim like a range of events? Where do you see your career going?
I definitely like to consider myself as a sprinter, but I also like to say that like I can kind of do almost anything. So I feel like as I get older, and closer to the Olympics in a few years, like I'll start narrowing down more on what I'm best at that time. But for now, since I think I'm so young, I'm still like exploring new things and like seeing what I like best and what I'm best at.
Cool. I love it. All right, Rylee, we just got a few rapid fire questions for you. What's the hardest race in swimming?
200 fly short course yards.
Okay. Yeah. I like it.
Not 400 I am for sure.
I know. I thought so for sure too.
Yeah, I had to swim 2 fly short course yards this past weekend. And it was something. It was really hard. Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. I'll let that one go too. Get 200 fly out of here. All right. Olympic gold or world record?
Olympic gold.
What's a swimming barrier that you look forward to breaking?
Oh God. I don't know.
Okay, so sidebar on this one. This isn't very rapid fire, but I was thinking about this during my swim this morning because Jordan Crooks recently went 130.0 in the 200 free. I don't think he's been 129, John.
Nope. No, that's best time.
And I thought like, oh man, that's such a major milestone. Like to go 130 flat is fast, but the 129 sounds so different to 130 flat. And I remember the first time that I went 139 in a 200 freestyle, and I was like, that was a big change between that 140. And I just wondered if there's anything for you that stands out that's like, you're entering a new decade of seconds.
Maybe this isn't like a new, like, it's not like a different like number set, but maybe like breaking 21 in the 50 free.
Yeah.
So maybe going like 20. So yeah, definitely like in the 20s or like 20s. Yeah.
When do you think that's happening?
Year and a half, 2 years maybe. We'll see.
I'll look forward to seeing it. What are you reading, watching, or listening to right now? What are you consuming?
So I just finished watching the Simone Biles documentary on Netflix. That was super good. I also just finished Outer Banks season 4 on Netflix. I'm not much of a reader, but yeah.
Yeah. What is the biggest swimming fashion faux pas? What's something you see somebody do on a pool deck and you just cringe?
When they, I don't know. When they like wear like a full body swimsuit over their tech suit, like I don't know. I don't see a point in it because it's like, I don't know, like you already have your tech suit on, so why are you wearing another suit? But yeah, probably that.
That's like we came from an era of drag suits, and I do always find that a bit funny whenever I see somebody kind of wearing two of them. Very strange. What's the best swim that you've ever seen in person? Ever seen live?
Probably Gretchen's 100 fly semis at trials.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's very good. And then we had a few from some of these followers on Instagram. I just wondered, this one's from Lainey is awesome, says, "You're awesome. Who's your inspiration or favorite Olympic swimmer?"
I have a lot. Probably like Regan Smith, Gretchen Walsh, Tori Husk, Abby Whitesoul. There's definitely a bunch. Yeah.
And all had amazing summers for sure. Tori,
Have you interacted
wow.
with any of them or like had any experiences? Because you're racing against them now. So any like moments where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah, at trials actually, it was semis 50 free, and I was right next to Gretchen, and like we were like sitting in like the chairs like about to go out, and like they were like naming some like things about the heat like coming up, like some achievements of people, and they said like for me they said like 50 free national age group record holder, and she was like, "Dang girl," and I was like, "Oh my God." I was like, "This is so funny." Yeah, it was cool.
That is cool.
Well, that's a cool moment. All right. Besides the hard kick sets, if the kickboard's your favorite, we got to end with this one. How often are you doing social kick?
Oh, a lot actually. We try to get it every day. I actually did some yesterday. But one of my coaches, she'll always like sneak it in. So she'll put it on the paper as SK. So we'll think it's like streamline kick, but then she's like, it's social kick. But we actually do it. We're starting to do it a lot more, and I really enjoy it. So yeah, it's fun.
Hell yeah. Love to hear that. I like the sneaking it in as a disguised social kick. We'll support it any way we can get it. Rylee, super fun to get to spend some time with you. You're welcome back here anytime. Look forward to seeing what you do the rest of the season. And thanks for sharing some time with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I had so much fun.
Awesome. That's it for this episode of Social Kick. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Hey everyone, thanks for hanging out with us. If you enjoyed this episode of Social Kick and you'd like to see more, subscribe to the channel. And we love talking swimming. We'd love to talk about swimming with you. So leave us a comment and we'll see you next time.